Hey guys, what is going on? This is Everybody Has a Story. This is my new show. I'm pretty pumped about it. This is why. I've been in touch with a lot of folks, and a lot of people have so much to share with the world, but they don't think people are going to listen to them. They're too intimidated. Oh, I failed at this. I was too successful at that. People are going to judge me for this reason, for that reason. And so I've been kind of kicking this idea around for a little bit. And so this is my kind of my thought here is I'm going to go out. This is episode 1, and I figured that if I'm going to do this show as the host, then people need to know who I am, where I've come from, story of my life a little bit up to this exact moment of this recording. And then you guys can make a decision if you want to be honest with people around you or maybe be more honest to yourself. But here we go. We're going to launch in and we're going to start at the beginning. So my story is this. When I barely got out of high school. I mean, I got like a C plus, C, maybe C, C minus C plus. That's kind of where I lived. I got a B plus one time. I was really pumped about that. A lot of folks are thinking like, well, that's pretty low bar. Yeah, it was 100%. But that's just the way that's how I got through high school. Thank God I got out of it. And then I went right out of high school, and I became a lift operator at Squaw Valley up here in North Lake Tahoe with my buddy. He and I had a house we rented on the Truckee River for the season, and it was El Nino because it was 1997. And we got up there, and we lived right on the river. We were either reading snowboarding magazine, playing snowboarding games, building jumps in the backyard, or working and snowboarding the entire time. We loved it. Had a lot of fun, a lot of great memories. And some of those things, like I took a year off right out of high school. My parents strongly encouraged me to go do that, so I did. So I went up to Tahoe, and that was a lot of fun. But prior to going to Tahoe, right out of high school, I was the night before I left, I actually moved to Catalina Island for a while, and I lived and worked on a Christian camp up there. I was doing land maintenance there. I had a blast. I got to go free diving every day, swimming every day, lifting weights in the sun. My house was literally 20 feet away from the ocean. It couldn't get any better, except my boss was a complete what. And so I called her a fat bitch, and well, that got me fired. So then I moved back from living on Catalina Island. And then I went to Tahoe, lived in Tahoe for the season in 97, like I said earlier in this conversation. Got done with that, and I really had nothing to do. I didn't know what to do. So I started working odd jobs here and there. I got a job delivering yogurt to at like 3:00 in the morning with my buddy Mike. That was pretty fun. Got done with work at like 8:30 in the morning. You're like, what the heck am I going to do for the rest of the day? So I went down to LA one time with my buddy Casey, and I was supposed to be in there for a weekend. I stayed for a week and a half, came back, got fired from that job. I was like, well, now what do I do? Then my best friend Lonnie, he looks at me and goes, hey, dude, because his dad owned an audio-visual company, an AV company that like did all the like TVs and mics and lights and everything for like convention centers and big events, right? So I started working in the warehouse, and man, did I thought I was cool. So I go in, I start working, and now keep in mind, they created a grunt's job under a grunt's job under a grunt's job under a grunt's job just for me because I was Lonnie's best friend and his dad owned the company. So I did that for a little while. That was a unique experience. And then my dad came alongside of me. He said, Greg, are you sure this is what you want to be doing? I mean, are you sure this is what you want to be doing? I'm like, yeah, I'm hanging out with my friends, going fishing and drinking on the weekends. This is fantastic. He's like, why don't you come work in real estate with me? I said, real estate? That's for old people. That's what you do, Dad. That's a dad job. That's not a fun job. I want to be an actor in LA. And my dad looked at me and goes, mm-hmm. So we had this banter back and forth. Finally, I conceded, and I went and I was working on getting my real estate license. Now, what a lot of people don't know is it took me 7 times to pass the damn thing. A lot of people are like, it's an easy test. Well, I'm dyslexic and ADHD. So for me, reading and then comprehending the way they were, writing it out was very difficult for me. And so my 8th time on taking the test, I remember because I was working with the team already, but I was being paid $10 an hour to go basically drop off flyers and just do mundane stuff around the office. I didn't understand it, but I was also having to go door knock. Now, I couldn't talk about price or square footage or anything, but I was still out there door knocking. So my 8th time, I got my license, and my dad was more excited than I was. And so now the real fun started. So I started getting into doing real estate. And my dad told me, when I should have listened to him, he said, Greg, I want you to go out there and I want you to become the condo king. I'm like, condo king? What the are you talking about? That's no fun. I want to sell multi-million dollar homes like you do. And he's like, oh, stupid. He didn't say that, but that was his thought pattern, I guarantee you. So I didn't listen to him. If I did, my business would have taken off much faster. But my first sale was 1.25 million. And then I resold the guy's properties a couple of other times down the road, but that's not the point of the story. So when I got into the business, and I'm licensed, and I was a snot. Let's be real honest about that. I mean, I had colored black and blue hair. I had an earring. I had a belt buckle that had a bottle opener on it. And I was smoking cigarettes. I was smoking like 1 to 2 packs of cigarettes at that time. Thank God I quit that about 10, 12, about 12 plus years ago. Thank you. God, that's a horrible, horrible, addiction. And we'll get into that in a second. And so I started door knocking. Now, it wasn't just a little bit of door knocking. I was door knocking 50 to 100 doors a day. Then I would come back and make another 50 to 100 phone calls, and I would write 10 handwritten thank you letters every single day, going through the database and the people that I met on the street and on the calls. Built up my flywheel, starting to get buyers, going out and showing. I wasn't focused on listings too much in the beginning of my career. I was mainly wanting to do buyers because I like being out and about. It's like kids on Christmas, like they were just ripping the package open, having a freaking blast, right? So I did that, made some really good money, and I thought I was a baller. I mean, I was 23, 22, 22, 23, somewhere in that ballpark. Bought my first condo. $300,000, and I thought I was the master negotiator because I got him down from 315 to 300. I laugh at myself sometimes, but I remodeled that and moved into it, lived in it for a number of years. Now at that point, I kind of picked up a little bit of a heavier drinking problem at that point in life because I was in, it was early 20s. You're an idiot when you're in your early 20s, and I recognized that there was a problem, and so I decided to say, okay, how do I mitigate this? How do I work around this, but still go out and have fun? I said, oh, I'll be a bouncer. My brother was a bouncer at a big club in Walnut Creek, California. It's in the San Francisco East Bay. And our capacity there was about 400 people. And my brother worked there for one night. And then I knew the head bouncer, Nate Hudson, who I grew up with. So I asked him, hey, Nate, is there a possibility I could, come in and maybe work a couple of shifts on Friday, Saturday nights? He's like, yeah, sure, man. Come on in. So I started, and ultimately I became one of the head bouncers, worked there for about 5 or 6 years. And I have ridiculously awesome stories about that bar with the fights that my buddies and I got into. A lot of the guys that were on the bouncing staff, we had 14 guys on staff with 400 guys and gals in the club. We had at least 3 to 5 gangs in there at all times. Everybody knew everybody. We respected them. They respected us. It was a very good, healthy environment. All the staff, we all would get together at the end of the night, and we would get one drink and one appetizer, right? We all sit around, talk about our war stories for the night. And then all the waitresses and all the bouncers, they'd all come back to my condo. Now, keep in mind, we would get off shift around 2 a.m. And then we would go get our beer at a local gas station, which stayed open literally just for us, I think. Grab the beer, blast to my house. We would party our faces off until about 6 a.m., give or take. This is like every Friday and Saturday. So how could that work out well for real estate? It didn't, because I would come off, I'd be done drinking at 6 a.m. and I had to be at an open house by 11:30, hung over. Oh my God. There were several open houses that I would go into. And of course, I'd be wearing my belt buckle, had a bottle opener on it, which, by the way, I tried one time, did not work out so well. Made it look like I peed myself. But here's the moral of the story. I fell asleep at the open houses. I didn't take them seriously. And my father and my business partner at the time, Chris Callahan, they were very gracious to me. And I was full of spit and vinegar like nobody's business. And I disrespected people. I was rude. I was entitled. I was self-serving. I was just not a good human being. And my dad and Chris just embraced me, loved me, and they allowed me to fall on my face multiple times. One time, I got a little ticked off about something, and I just very unceremoniously said, that's it. I'm done. I'm out. I quit. And Chris and Terry looked at each other like, okay, see you later. I'm like, well, that was simple. So I started working for another company, selling real estate products down in Southern California. So my buddy and I moved down to Santa Barbara. We lived in Carp, right on the polo fields, which was unbelievable, beautiful. I mean, you walk out, you see the professional polo fields, the ocean, Pacific Ocean right beyond it. Santa Barbara is right up the street by like 10, 15 minutes. Awesome. Lived there for a number of months. I toured and traveled all through LA on like every single day. It was nonstop, but I loved it because I wasn't geographically locked in anymore. I could actually go do my own thing. So that worked out for a little while until that company actually shut down. And before it shut down, I was at a major broker's office in Long Beach, I want to say. And this lady, she put some serious numbers on the board. But I was sitting there setting up her system for this lead generation program, and she could not figure herself out of a paper bag trying to work on this negotiation. And I was listening, I was getting more and more frustrated. And I finally just turned around and said, look, you have to do this, 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 circle back to that, then do that, and then follow up with this, and then go from there. And she's like, oh, that makes sense. I'm like, oh my God, I still have it. So when that company shut down, I went back up to the Bay Area and hat in hand, I sat Chris and Terry down and I said, guys, um, I'm really sorry for the way I interacted with you. And I'm really sorry that what I said to you. Is there any chance I could come back on the team? It literally took them probably 3 seconds. Felt like 30 minutes to me because I was scared to death. But they're like, yeah, sure. Come on back. I said, okay. So I did. But here's the contingency. I told myself at that exact moment that no matter what, I'm going to pay it forward to every human being I possibly can because it was grace and love was shown towards me. And that's where my show Real Estate Uncensored actually came from, because I wanted to make sure I could educate folks as much as possible, because I was been blessed with love and kindness and information, like stuff you'd have to pay thousands or tens of thousands of dollars for, and I got it for free, and I didn't even realize what I was learning. So I started doing the business, and I didn't take it lightly. I worked 7 days a week, and I couldn't afford a triple line dialer at that point. I could only afford my finger, just hand dialing. So I did that, and I did doors 7 days a week, 100 plus doors. Didn't matter. And then I would come back and do the dials. Then I finally got a couple of deals, right? And that was the cool part about it. Now I could afford a 3-line dialer. Then 2008 hit. We lost so much business. I went down to $35 to my name. I literally did not have a pot to piss in. I was freaking out one night because I literally counted my money at $35. But I had come back from a European trip, and I had a bunch of euros left. And I'm like, oh, I have euros. I can trade them in. Well, I went from $35 to $400 to my name. So I quadrupled my net worth, or exponentially grew my net worth, which literally meant I could go and I could afford to get the cheapest bread, the cheapest peanut butter, the cheapest jelly that would be on the market, so that I could eat. And I had to budget myself, because at that point in 2005, it was the first time gas hit $5. And I was driving a Yukon Denali, and that thing ate gas for a living. So my house was about 20 minutes away from my office. So I'm like, okay, if I have $50 a week on gas, I have to really limit who I'm going to show, when, how, if I'm going to sit in traffic, not sit in traffic just to conserve gas. And you couldn't work from home at that point. I mean, the house we were living in was built in the 1920s and had gaps underneath the doors about this big. So my roommate at the time, he had 3 little dogs, and he had food next to the door, and he got bit by 2 big black widows in that house. And he still has pain from them. But it was just a very interesting life experience. We didn't care. We had a house to live in, and he was doing mortgage. I was doing real estate. And I remember one of the girls I was dating at the time, I would come back, and those 2 idiots would be smoking weed on the couch watching movies. And I just got back from a 15-hour day of door knocking, calls, and follow-ups and lead generation. And they're just like, I'm like, you idiots. Like, come on, man. But it's going through those different iterations in life that grow you a little bit. And so I decided to really take it seriously. So I said, no more bullshit. I am going to do this the right way. So I went, and I didn't have a tie, by the way. So I had to go borrow a tie from my father. I had to borrow a pair of his khaki pants from Costco, which looked like I was waiting for a flood, and a pair of his shoes, because I only had tennis shoes. I mean, I didn't take this too seriously in the past, right? So I got all dressed up. For the next 2 years, everywhere I went, I wore a tie. Going on business meetings, wore a tie. Going on a walk, wore a tie. Going on a date, wore a tie. Going to a party, wore a tie. Going to the bars, wore a tie. Everybody made fun of me until they all started doing the exact same thing. Now all of us were running around, together wearing ties, and it drew people's attention. I'm like, this is pretty cool. People kind of will watch and listen and kind of, be open to what you're doing if it's a positive thing, right? So I started that trend, and then I got tired of it because I got tired of choking myself to death. Move forward a little bit, and we were coming out of 2008. We had built a team, and one day, my office manager, Dennis, comes into one of my open houses. Right? He said, "Hey, Greg, we want to talk to you." I'm like, "Oh no, what did I do? Oh no." And he's like, "No, no, no, it's not a bad thing, Greg. It's not a bad thing." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, what's up, Dennis?" He's like, Robin, who's the vice president of the company at that point. He's like, "Robin and I were talking, and well, we want to offer you the position to be our lead coach for all of the company is called J Rockcliffe, for all of Rockcliffe." And I'm like, "You want me to be the head trainer of the entire brokerage?" He's like, "Yeah, all management talked. You're the one that we want." I'm like, "Okay." So I said, "What do we do next?" He's like, "Not a big deal." This is in 2014. Because we went down. No, this is 2014. So we go down. He's like, "Okay, we're going to fly you down, and we're going to put you up in a hotel for the Tom Ferry event." I said, "Cool." A girl that I was dating, a new girl that I was dating at that point, I had made an agreement that we were going to go to Disneyland because she was an agent in our brokerage as well, and I got called in for jury duty. And I'm like, son of a biscuit, I am not missing this. The reason why I tell you that is that I put my mind to something. I was not missing Disneyland because I wanted to just hang out with this girl and learn, and because I had to build a training program. Like that was what I was tasked with doing. So we go down there. She and I have a blast in Disneyland one night. We have a great time. I literally in Tom Ferry, he led us through a meditation. I'll never forget this. Led us through a meditation. There's probably 2,000, 3,000 people in the room. And he said basically, see yourself, lift yourself up, take yourself to a place where you want to be. I don't know where I took myself. I think it was Florida or something like that. It was on the coast. But he walked us through like who you are, what you see. And I asked myself a question. I said, do I make it? And the universe, I'm going to just call it the universe, said, yes, you make it. And I said, what do they call me? And the universe goes, they call you the coach of coaches. I've never heard that term before in my life. And I'm like, what the heck does that mean? So I also saw myself in this nice modern home, big boat out in the back. I never saw her face, but a beautiful brunette woman who had a heart of gold was in my life in a romantic way. So then I pick up, I go back, and I'm sobbing in a room full of 3,000 people, right? I'm like just, I didn't care because I saw my future. I saw what I could become. So then I really pushed even harder. On the flight home that day, I took a piece of paper out, like a normal, piece of paper. And in 45 minutes from Orange County to Oakland, I sketched out an entire month course of training, 3 days a week, 3 hours a day. So I knocked that out in literally 45 minutes. I took that to my friend Michael Fielden, who I do another show with called RE Geeks, and he's been my tech guy for over 20 years. And so he sketched it out even more with me, and then broke it down. We made slides. Well, he made the slides. I didn't make the slides. He made this whole thing for me with this giant ass, book, and the whole thing for agents to take home and read and review. I got up there. That room was packed. I was on cloud freaking 9. So I did the training 3 days a week for 3 hours. 2 days a week. No, yeah. Was it 2 days a week? Yeah, 2 days a week. Excuse me. 2 days a week, 3 hours of class. And the cool thing is that I got more and more people to come up and talk to me because I was brutally honest, like I'm being brutally honest with you. Now, this is 2000. This moves forward a little bit, and about a year and a half, 2 years into me being a full-time trainer, the girl that I had loved since high school, we were a thing in high school, and then she got yanked off to North Carolina by her dad. Hadn't talked to her in 17 years. She hit me up, and she's like, "Hey, what are you doing for 4th of July? I'm moving back to California. Do you want to hang out?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do want to hang out." So she comes over. I thought she was gonna be there for a couple of nights or whatever. Um, she never left. She moved in, like, didn't move out. Her and her cat moved in, and I was pumped. I mean, I was over the moon. I had hit the freaking jackpot. Hit the jackpot. Everything I've always wanted in my life. And I designed my payment schedule for the training so that I could sustain our base needs as a household. All of our rent, food, put a little money away for other stuff. And I'm like, okay, life is really coming around in a positive way here. Well, we were together for about 2 years. And then she comes home one evening, is the night before Thanksgiving. Bunch of buddies and I had been out, at the bars, because that's what you do before Thanksgiving, right? When you're young and dumb. But she comes home and we're throwing popcorn in each other's mouths. We're laughing. Everyone's joking. Everyone kind of retires for the evening. We go up to our room. She turns to me and stares me dead in the face and goes, "Greg, I'm leaving you tomorrow." What? What? I'm like, okay, I'm just drunk. Whatever. Wake up in the morning. I'm like, I roll over. I'm like, "Hey, Kel, you said you were leaving me this morning. Were you joking or what's up?" She's like, "No, I'm leaving." And there was a lot of tears. I was debilitated for a couple of weeks, about a week, like, because I was going to marry her. I was going to propose the next week. Like, I'd gone down, picked out a ring, the whole thing, and she just bounced. Never talked to her ever again in my life. She even left her freaking cat at the house. Here, obviously came back and got it all, but that killed me. My dad stepped in for my training courses because I couldn't function. It was like literally having a part of you physically die. My dad took over the course training and he told everybody that I was sick. And I got back up there and I said, "Guys, I'm not sick." And I told them exactly what happened. I got pulled aside by so many agents going, "Oh my God, Greg, I've had the same thing happen to me. This happened with this. This is how it went down, yada, yada." And I did get over it. Took a while, but I did get over it. Life moved on. Life kept moving. We kept making money, closing deals. And of course, there's ups and downs. But some of my biggest takeaways is that at that point, my drinking really kicked back in. And it just really didn't go away because I couldn't sleep. So I just drank a lot to not dream. And I don't really tell a lot of people, and I just told the whole world this. But I mean, when I smoked, I quit nicotine in literally 30 seconds because the girl that left on Thanksgiving said that she didn't like guys who smoked. I'm like, ping, not touching those again. Best life decision ever. And then, so fast forward, we're doing deals. I think I'm doing fine. Life is chugging along, but it wasn't chugging along. I was just making it work. And then I found podcasting, and then I found live video. And I told everybody, I'm like, "Hey, this is a great way for me to cope and kind of express myself and get out there," because I never met a microphone I didn't like or a camera I didn't love. Obviously, that's a joke, but it's honestly reality sometimes. And so my buddy Matt, because I've been shooting video content for our team for a year or two with another company, and he was my coach there. And I said, "Hey, Matt, do you want to do a podcast with me?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You do?" He said, "Yeah." He's like, "This funny thing is, man, I was going to ask you to do a show." So then Real Estate Uncensored was launched. And so now we're running a team. We're working multi-million luxury listings. I'm the head trainer of my brokerage, and we're launching this new podcast. I'm like, this is fantastic. Life is fun. Going out on dates with girls, hanging out with my best friends, living a good life. We got the show up and running, and we really started kicking off with this thing. Of course, there's bumps in all businesses. And ultimately, after 8 years of doing the podcast, we came to a disagreement on finances, and we just had to go our own ways. He's trying to extort me for 50% of money coming in through a different revenue source that he wanted to use for his own investments. And I'm like, oh, hell no. This is not how this game is played. So I canceled the show. And I got a little depressed because I really freaking loved that show, Real Estate Uncensored, because it was designed to help real estate agents. That's the whole point of the damn show. And with that being said, when it canceled, I kind of became very, very quiet in regards to how I was going to be perceived in the public eye. I'm like, God, I'm going to be a loser. Like, nobody's going to take me seriously now because I canceled my show. Like, how do I do this? Why am I doing this? So I went into hiding for a little bit. Now, during this time, I had met another gal. I'm not going to use her name. We're going to refer to her as the X. Now, she and I we recently broke up about 4 or 5 months ago per this recording. And we've been together almost 8 years. We were in 5 houses together. We got 2 dogs together. And one day, about four months ago, I think 4 months ago, she just turned to me one day. It was a warmer day. And we're drinking white wine, sitting on the couch, watching a cop show or something stupid. And she goes, "Why are you still here? This isn't your home. Leave. You're not wanted here." And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" She's like, "Get out. Just leave. You're not wanted here." Uh, really? Really? Uh, okay. So I stood up, got my phone, went in the other room, and I called the movers. One of the hardest calls I've ever made. I was losing everything in one day. Lost my girl, lost my house, lost my 2 German shepherds. Keep in mind, those dogs, they went everywhere with me. Listing appointments, buyer showings, walking around everywhere. They were so good. Both of them would be off leash everywhere. They were my best friends. Went to the bathroom, they were in the bathroom. Went to the office, they were in the office. Went to the kitchen, they were in the kitchen. When the movers came and they packed everything up, I had to do the hardest thing I've ever done. I gave I sat on the ground with them. I gave them some pets. Told them I loved them. Closed the door, locked it, put the key under the mat. And the dogs ran up because they're not used to being left home alone. They went around and stared at me through the gate, fully expecting me to come back. I never came back. That one killed me. That one killed me. I had nowhere to go. I sold my condo to move into this big ass house in Alamo. I literally had only the shirt on my back. Everything else is in storage. So I had nowhere to go, no one to be with, no dogs. So I hit the road. That's why I vanished for a little bit. Because if you don't have anywhere to go, what do you do? And I was reeling from what took place. And so I drove through, I think, 12 different states in about 30 days. I thought it was going to be really fun. Nah, it sucked. I put a good face on it, put some good stories out there, and had laughs and learned how to be on my own by myself in every aspect again. But something was wrong with my body. I was hurting, like from head to toe. I couldn't figure it out. So my parents have a property up in Grass Valley, big old ranch. And so I was in Reno and I couldn't sleep because my back was hurting me so bad that I was gonna go to South Lake Tahoe and spend the night down there and get some dinner, but I physically couldn't make it. I literally limped into their property, and I went face down in their back master for about a week. I don't think I even got up. I mean, they have a bathroom and a shower there. I think they force fed me some food, but I couldn't eat. And so I was just stayed in a dark room and I started hiding. I just hid from the world, hid from myself, I hid from everybody. And because I couldn't deal. At that point, my parents and their friend Carrie, who lives on site here, um, they helped me through this. And the reason I'm telling you the story is that when you go through something traumatic in life and it's really killing you, like it physically feels like you're dying, you'll really see who your true friends are that show up. The people that really show up will blow you away because those are the people that will check in on you, say hi, how are you, what's your adventure, where are you going today, how's life, how you doing, yada yada. I have several core friends. One's Ashley, one's Paula, one's Bree, one's Casey, um, Sean. Um, oh God, there's a bunch of others that would check in on me daily and just kind of, hey pal, what you doing? So when I got back here, I started working on the ranch, helping out, and I've decided very emphatically that I am not built for farm life. I ripped off my arm, not physically, but I tore tendons and stress tendons in my right arm using an auger when I had a rock, and I couldn't hold up a glass of water for about a week and a half. I had to use both hands to hold up the water. Um, and then I rode a tractor. Doesn't sound like too bad, but I'm not used to tractors. And then it spasmed my back, and then I could barely walk for another couple of weeks. It sucked. So overall, farm life's not for me, but I've been around people in a healing environment that has truly transformed just my life. Being quiet, but getting goals set and getting my ideas of where I want to be in life. Where do I want to be? What do I want to do? How do I want to do it? Guys, I don't want to put another real estate sign up in my life ever. I hate putting up open house signs. I detest it. That's just me though, right? So what I'm doing is I'm building a virtual team, which I'm with EXP Realty, which you guys all know. And so I'm going to do virtual referrals, and I'm building an agent base up in different strategic marketplaces where I can do calls in and then refer them over to those agents, as well as I'm going to work with my friend Ashley, and she's a wholesaler, and we're going to do some wholesale deals together on the phones. If you guys have watched any of my live beers and calls, she's the Burnett girl that's with the other guys, or sometimes it's just me and Ash making calls. But I'm deciding to build my business like that, and also starting. Well, this is our first episode of Everybody Has a Story. RE Geeks, which is with Michael Field, and we talk about technology. And then I have my mornings with McDaniel, which I'm bringing back, and that's my inspirational, quick show, about 15 minutes or so in the mornings, going over some different fun topics, giving everybody a little pep in the step, a little, positive mindset, going from there. Because when I started it a number of years ago, I just did it as fun. I was just messing around. I was bored drinking coffee, and I didn't want to do any more real estate research, so I just started to do positive stuff. Right? Who doesn't need something positive in life these days? So I'm bringing that back. So I'm going to be doing a lot more podcasting, and a lot more release work, non in office work. Right? I'm going to be remote. What are you guys going to do? What's your story? Now I don't know where I'm going to go from here, but I can tell you one thing: it's going to be on my terms. No longer am I going to be beholden to geographic locations, partners, or anything else. If people want to come along for the ride, I welcome you. If you don't like me or my content or the stories I just told you about my personal life, I skipped over a lot of them, by the way. Because it would take too long to tell all the bullshit. But if you guys like that, hit me in the DMs. Tell me somebody that I should interview. They have an interesting story that overcomes odds. Just an incredible, interesting thought pattern. Basically, what the whole concept of this is that I want it to be raw and real. I want it to be a human podcast that gives a voice to people from everyday walk of life. They could be rich, broke, known, unseen, young, old. Each episode is going to cover real stories of struggles and resilience, failure, growth, and triumph. So what we're really trying to do is we want to show that you're not alone. You're not alone. And a lot of times, You think you're alone. I mean, back in the day, I went to anger management because I was a mad kitten. All right. And, last year I went to AA because I had a drinking problem. I didn't have a drinking problem. I just needed to shut it off or shut it down a little bit. The people I was in the room with, damn, those fools have got a drinking problem, like 5 DUIs, wife beaters, all kinds of crazy stuff. I said, okay, I heard their stories. Why don't we all hear each other's stories so we can, relate and then support each other as we move through this crazy thing called life? Anyways, that is me, raw and real. If you have any questions about anything that you have heard today, or if you want to talk to me about a guest or you get yourself booked as a guest on this show, contact me at 925 915 1978. Again, 925 915 1978. That's my cell, guys. I'll take a text or a phone call. Hope you guys enjoy this. Have a blessed day, and thanks for watching the first episode of Everybody Has a Story. Until next time, boom, peace. Love you. Bye.